Can't help but look at recent personal history as I watch the catastrophe of the Olympics. Well, catastrophic for people who, don't like seeing women beaten in the face by men. It's to look back a little bit at people who told me this is a small and tiny issue. Why are you devoting oxygen to this? Here's some things I was told would never, ever happen. Women getting beat in the face for money by men. That would never happen. I was told that it would never, ever happen that kids would be seized by government so that they could have gender-affirming care, which is, of course, not care, nor is it gender-affirming. It's wrong sex hormones and surgery, and that's happening, kids being seized. I was told it was a small, tiny thing. It was never a small, tiny thing. Today is a day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God has decided we shall live. When you can take the Paris Olympics and take one image and simply present it after building it for maybe 5 minutes in a Photoshop-like environment, and that's this, a woman with a black eye in Paris 2024, and have hundreds of millions of people see that, which happened, something has turned. So I want to go back through some things that I was told would never happen, and yet they're happening, and ask, why is it the Olympics that gets the attention? Why is it just two women getting beaten up that's happened? Why is it just two men now fighting for the title that belongs or belonged to women? There's so much below the scenes on this that people do not know, and I'm hoping this is an opportunity to clear the air so that people will know it. We get to do things like this with partners like Eden Pure, EdenPureDeals.com. We use Todd Bogo to buy one, get one free. What? One of what? We're in a studio where we can't open the windows or the doors because we got to maintain sound quality and video quality. And we're in a studio sometimes 6 to 7 hours a day. Those of us in here don't really want to have the, stink of being in here all day. Coffee breath. I come in and work out in my gym bag sitting here. Nobody wants that. We don't yet have cat litter in here, although I did think, and I may well bring a litter box in here. I may well bring a cat in here and allow it to use the litter box. It would be smell-free. How do I know that? Because we use the Oxyleaf 2 Thunderstorm device that actually produces ozone in this room. The O3 molecules bond to the bad smelling molecules and they destroy them. It even works with viruses. So if you walk into our studio, I promise you, you'll walk in and go, wow, it smells like there was just a thunderstorm. I can give you a huge deal. Buy one, get one. Simply plug it into the wall and it goes to work. It's EdenPureDeals.com. Enter code ToddBogo. Buy one, get one free. EdenPureDeals.com, ToddBogo. I was told I would never see this day when there are going to be two men, as you see in this image, fighting for a title that used to belong to women. I was told that this was a small issue. There were people of national stature in conservative media who lectured me, don't do this, don't waste time. Let's talk about tax policy. Let's talk about, Republican things. Here's some other things they said wasn't happening, and they were happening. Behind the scenes, there was an infrastructure being built to seize kids from their parents. That happened almost 9 years ago. We watched it occur because I saw parents come in and tell me in my radio show, you've got to bring attention to what's going on with our kids, our family. Our daughter thinks she's a boy, and all of a sudden, Children's Hospital wants her taken away from us. I was told, that's a small minority of the cases. That's not something that we should sacrifice our Republican Party politics for. I watched as Republicans folded on this issue, and that was in the separate country of Washington. And when they folded on it, here's what they told me. This is literally what they told me. I just think people need a place to pee. That was the pitch. The emotionalism was, I think people need a place to pee. When I had a woman come on my program who was one of the first military officers to come out as same-sex attracted, she was involved in the don't ask, don't tell issue, Bill Clinton. When she came on my program to explain that in San Francisco, there were groups of same-sex attracted women who had dating clubs. It was kind of prior to Tinder. Well, it was not kind of, it was prior to Tinder and whatever other devices and apps people use for that. She came on my radio program and she explained that there were men who had gotten into those groups and had psychologically pressured women into having sex with them. And shockingly, later, those women came out and said they felt pressured. They felt. When that program aired, I didn't have a single person from the general talk station, that would be Cairo FM in Seattle, and it was at the time a huge station. Not one of them come to me to ask for information. And we put out little packages. We did that in the radio group. You have an interesting interview, you'd package it up, you'd send it around the room. The sole person who would take me up on that was my late departed friend, Dory Monson. And with all due respect to Dory, whom I dearly, dearly love, and he came around on this issue and he made an impact before the Lord took him home. It took Dory 6 or 7 months to become comfortable talking about it, because the left had done such a good job of making it appear that this was about being same-sex attracted. That was the great hat trick. Here's some other things I was told would never happen. I was told that female prisoners would never be raped by male prisoners. When I had someone come on my radio show who was a chaplain in the prisons to explain that some of her people she worked with, some of the ladies she was trying to disciple, were, being sexually assaulted in their prison cells, I didn't have a single person come to me and say, hey, we need that information. Can you bring that to us? When the ACLU in the separate country of Washington State teamed up behind the scenes with the Bureau of Prisons to erase the actual sex of inmates so as to better hide men within women's cells, that didn't make a dent. The Olympics are this. It is proof that if you emotionalize something and attach it to sex, you can sell it. The world has now witnessed a woman in 46 seconds having to give up a boxing match because she apparently feared for her life. They witnessed her go to the corner and say, this is unjust. And then they witnessed her have a change of heart and come out and apologize to the man who beat her up. Why did that happen? The International Olympic Committee bears a lot of power. It can wield it. In my judgment, that's why it happened. And we're getting this lesson. If you attach emotionalism to a topic and you attach sexuality to it, you can press it. There are going to come a time, and it's probably here now, that there are women who've simply folded. They simply folded. They're in abusive relationships. And the man is insisting, he doesn't mean to beat him. But what else can he do, baby? You've done wrong. There's women in this country, there's women around the world that are simply folding, giving up on their dignity, on the love that God has for them. God created man and woman in his image. They have been saying it's unjust, it's wrong. Then they just give in. And where do they go? I'm talking about a person being beaten. Where do they go when they give up? What happens to their souls? Take it from one person up to the soul level of a world. What happens to the soul level of a world that just tells women, be quiet, take the beating, apologize to the guy who beat you? Well, you're loosing a demon. There's no doubt about that. But we also need to go back to that very beginning when people said, Todd, it's a small issue. It's a tiny minority of people. It's never been a small issue. The issue is truth. You can choose, quote, your truth, and then I can choose mine. My truth can be, you know what? We all come from the same molecules, from the same place. You have proteins, I have proteins. Your proteins aren't different from my proteins. We all exist within the same sphere. Ergo, your body's my body. So when I'm beating you, I'm actually beating myself. That can be my truth. My truth can be that my mental pain is much more significant than any physical pain I can impart to you because mental pain's worse. That could be my truth. And then I could hit you or beat you and say, well, my truth is that doesn't hurt as bad as my mental pain. Or we can go to the unchangeable, unchanging Word of God. And we can base our truth upon that. In other words, base our truth upon truth. Truth is not a concept, it's a thing, it's an entity, it's God. God is truth. Do not lord your power over others, men beating women in boxing matches. Men, Love your wives as Christ loved the church. Not as your fists and ego would have it. The Olympics is sport. Let me ask you this. Would it make any difference if there was a social media phenomena, let's say a YouTube phenomena, where just before a man got hand with his woman to keep her in place, what if he live streamed it for money? Would it be better than what happened in the Olympics? Oh, the women signed up for it. No, I've heard this. Oh, the women knew what they were getting into. No, the women have spent their lives sacrificing to get to this level of boxing. And I guarantee the International Olympic Committee said, you go forward this or you don't compete in this sport at all. They knew what they were getting into. That sounds a lot like, why didn't the woman just leave? Because it's not that easy. You committed your life to something. It's not always easy to walk away. What's next in all of this? Transhumanism. They'll attach it to emotion. They'll attach it to saving the kids. They'll attach it to being your true self. If you gave in to this, how are you not going to give in to that? May I suggest this? Do not vandalize God's masterpiece. That's what he called human beings. He said, this is his masterpiece. I would suggest that you think hard about that. And remember to go with God's good grace.